The autumn wind howled through the towering skyscrapers of New York City as Nathan Sterling stood in his corner office, 40 stories above the bustling streets. Below him, the faint glow of streetlights cast a distant, almost unreachable warmth over the city. His reflection stared back at him in the floor-to-ceiling windows. Perfectly tailored suit, salt and pepper hair combed with precision, the very image of a man who had conquered the corporate world. Yet, there was an emptiness in his eyes that even his immense success couldn't mask. Nathan's phone buzzed on the polished glass desk behind him. Another message from Veronica Monroe, his glamorous girlfriend and the daughter of one of his largest investors. He ignored it, his thoughts preoccupied with the evening's charity gala, an annual spectacle hosted by his company, Sterling Ventures. This year, however, felt different. The guest list had arrived earlier, and one name stood out like a thunderclap: Amelia Grant, CEO of the rising tech powerhouse Grant Innovations. Nathan hadn't seen Amelia in 3 years, not since their painful divorce, when he chose ambition over their marriage. He vividly remembered their last conversation, her voice steady yet cold as she'd said, "One day you'll realize the cost of choosing power over love." Back then, he dismissed her words as the bitterness of a woman left behind. Tonight, they echoed louder than ever. Uncertainty tightened his chest as the clock ticked toward the gala. Nathan had faced boardroom battles and hostile takeovers without flinching, but the thought of seeing Amelia again stirred something deeper. He wasn't ready for the reckoning she might bring. The charity gala unfolded in a lavish ballroom at one of New York's most prestigious hotels, where crystal chandeliers illuminated the city's elite. Nathan Sterling entered the room with his signature confidence, Veronica Monroe on his arm. Dressed in a striking red gown, Veronica drew the attention of many, yet Nathan seemed indifferent, his thoughts elsewhere. Moving effortlessly through the crowd, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries, Nathan's eyes scanned the room. Then he saw her. Amelia Grant stood across the ballroom, engaged in conversation with a group of investors. She wore a midnight jewel gown that shimmered under the lights, her honey blonde hair swept elegantly into an updo. But it was her aura, confident, commanding, and self-assured, that truly captivated the room. Nathan's breath caught. She was no longer the quiet, reserved woman he had once known. Before he could stop himself, Nathan began making his way toward her. But just as he crossed the room, a small figure darted out from behind Amelia and bumped into his legs. "Sorry, mister," a child's voice piped up. Nathan looked down and froze. The boy's eyes mirrored his own. Amelia moved quickly, scooping the boy into her arms. "Oliver, are you okay?" she asked softly, her voice calm, but her eyes were locked on Nathan's. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Nathan's gaze remained fixed on Oliver, his sharp blue eyes, his familiar features, the undeniable resemblance. "We need to talk," Nathan finally managed, his voice tight with emotion. Amelia's smile was cool, guarded. "We already said everything that needed to be said, Nathan. 3 years ago, remember?" Without waiting for his response, she turned and walked away, carrying Oliver with her. Nathan stood frozen amidst the crowd, his mind racing. Memories of their last days together surfaced. The arguments, the finality of his choice to leave her for power and ambition. But now, seeing Oliver, his son, Nathan felt the weight of his decisions in a way he never had before. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Nathan's attention was anywhere but the gala. Veronica, sensing his distraction, tried to draw him into conversations, but it was futile. She had no idea that a storm was brewing inside him. As the night ended and the guests began to leave, Nathan walked out of the ballroom with a single resolution in his heart. He needed answers. He had lost a wife, but he couldn't afford to lose a son he didn't even know existed. Nathan returned to his penthouse as the city lights of New York sparkled like stars in the distance. But the quiet luxury of his home did little to calm the storm raging in his mind. Tonight had shattered the polished facade he had spent years perfecting, exposing cracks he could no longer ignore. Sitting at his desk, Nathan scrolled through old photos on his laptop, snapshots from charity events, vacations, and quiet moments at home with Amelia. Her smile in those pictures felt like a relic from another lifetime, a time he had carelessly thrown away. Memories surged forward like an unstoppable tide. He remembered the final months of their marriage, Emilia's frequent silences, her hesitant attempts to tell him something important. But Nathan had been too consumed by business deals and his hunger for power to notice. Now, he couldn't help but wonder, had she known about Oliver back then? Had she tried to tell him, only to be met with his indifference? He picked up his phone, his fingers hovering over the screen. What could he possibly say? I'm sorry, I need to know the truth about our son? Every phrase felt woefully inadequate. His thoughts drifted to Oliver, the boy with eyes so strikingly similar to his own. Questions flooded Nathan's mind. Did Oliver play soccer? Did he love science? How many birthdays had he celebrated without a father? The weight of all he had missed pressed down on him like a physical burden. Unable to sit idle any longer, Nathan dialed the number of Alex Carter, an old friend and his trusted lawyer. Alex, Nathan said, his voice rough with emotion. I need you to look into something for me. Amelia Grant and a boy named Oliver. Can you do that? Of course, Alex replied, his tone professional yet tinged with curiosity. Nathan, what exactly are you trying to do here? Nathan paused, his throat tightening before he could answer. I'm trying to fix a mistake. A huge mistake. After the call ended, Nathan remained seated, staring out at the glittering skyline. He knew the road ahead would be anything but smooth. Amelia wasn't someone who forgave easily, and she had every reason to keep him at arm's length. But Nathan had made up his mind. He couldn't continue living as a stranger to his own child. For the first time in years, Nathan felt something stir within him, a determination not driven by ambition or corporate greed, but by the need to reclaim something far more meaningful. Whatever it took, he would find a way to be a father to Oliver. 2 days after the call with Alex, Nathan received an email from his lawyer. Attached was a detailed report on Amelia and Oliver. According to the documents, Oliver James Grant was born on March 15, 2 years ago. The father's name was left blank on the birth certificate, but the timing aligned perfectly with the months following Nathan and Amelia's separation. The file also included medical records and school enrollment details, noting how Amelia had raised Oliver entirely on her own without seeking support from anyone else. Alex added a note at the end. Nathan, I don't need a DNA test to confirm this. The boy is your son. Nathan read the documents over and over again. Guilt and regret welled up inside him as he realized the enormity of what he had missed. Amelia had carried the weight of raising their child alone while simultaneously building a business empire, and Oliver, his son, had grown up without ever knowing his father. Nathan knew he couldn't change the past, but he vowed to make things right. He had to become part of Oliver's life, no matter how difficult the journey ahead might be. 2 days later, Nathan Sterling prepared himself for his first real meeting with Amelia and Oliver. He wasn't sure how she would react, but he knew this was the first step in making amends for his mistakes. They met at a small cafe in Brooklyn, quieter and away from the city's spotlight. Amelia sat in a corner, Oliver beside her, his curious eyes darting around the room. When Nathan walked in, the boy looked up immediately, his gaze bright and inquisitive, yet cautious. Hi, Nathan greeted softly, his voice gentler than he'd expected. Hello, Nathan, Amelia replied, her tone cold but not entirely distant. Oliver, this is Nathan. She hesitated, searching for the right words. A friend of your mom, Nathan interjected, trying to ease the tension. Oliver studied him carefully for a moment before nodding. Do you know about dinosaurs? Nathan was taken aback but quickly smiled. I do, but I bet you know way more than I do. Do you like dinosaurs? The boy's face lit up as he launched into an enthusiastic explanation about his favorite dinosaurs, how they lived, and the museum exhibit he had recently visited with his mom. Amelia sat quietly, watching the interaction. Nathan spent the entire afternoon talking with Oliver, not as a powerful businessman, but as a man trying to connect with a child he hadn't known existed. He listened intently, with a sincerity that even Amelia couldn't deny. As the meeting wrapped up, Oliver asked, Mr. Nathan, will you come watch me play soccer? I have a game on Saturday. Nathan looked to Amelia for permission. After a pause, she nodded. If you want to come, it's at 3 p.m. in the park. Nathan smiled at Oliver. I'll be there. Saturday arrived quicker than Nathan anticipated. He showed up at the park early, carrying a small gift bag. Inside was a dinosaur model he had searched for after learning about Oliver's favorite species. Oliver beamed when he saw Nathan. "Mr. Nathan, do you know about Therizinosaurus? It had the longest claws ever." "I didn't know that," Nathan admitted, "but maybe you can teach me." The boy grinned from ear to ear. Amelia stood nearby, arms crossed, observing the interaction. "You did your homework," she remarked, her tone less icy than before. The game began, and while Oliver spent more time exploring the grass than chasing the ball, Nathan cheered him on with surprising enthusiasm. After the game, they went for ice cream. As Oliver chattered endlessly about dinosaurs and planets, Nathan realized this was the first time he had felt true happiness in years. Before parting ways, Oliver tugged on Nathan's hand. "Will you come again?" Nathan knelt to meet his eyes. "I'll come whenever you need me." Watching the scene, Amelia said nothing, but there was a faint softness in her expression. That evening, Nathan returned to his penthouse, still buoyed by the meaningful time he had spent with Oliver. But his peace didn't last long. Veronica Monroe was waiting for him in the living room, her face twisted with anger. "Where have you been?" she demanded, her tone sharp. "You left me at the gala without a word. Do you have any idea what people are saying?" Nathan exhaled deeply, trying to stay calm. "I was with Oliver, my son." Veronica laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your son? You mean Amelia's child? This is ridiculous. You're not seriously letting this derail everything we've worked for, are you?" "It's not a joke, Veronica," Nathan said firmly. "I made a mistake 3 years ago when I walked away from my family. I won't make that mistake again." Veronica stepped closer, her eyes blazing with fury. "So, you're saying you're willing to throw away everything? All that we've built together? Everything you've worked so hard for?" Nathan met her gaze, feeling a cold detachment he hadn't noticed before. "We haven't built anything, Veronica. Our relationship is a transaction, nothing more than a business deal. But Oliver, he's my family, and I won't let anyone or anything take that away from me." Veronica stood still for a moment before letting out a bitter laugh. "You'll regret this, Nathan. You're destroying yourself." "Maybe," he replied, his voice steady. "But I've spent too long not knowing what really matters. I can't keep living like that." As Veronica stormed out, Nathan stood alone in the quiet of his penthouse. Everything he had once thought important now felt hollow and meaningless. Instead, his thoughts were consumed by Oliver and the unwavering determination to make things right. A week later, Nathan stood in a small park in Brooklyn, watching Oliver play soccer with a group of other kids. Amelia was there too, standing a few meters away, observing the game. Nathan tried to stay calm, but his heart raced at the thought of the conversation they were about to have. After the game, Oliver ran over, his face glowing with excitement. "I passed the ball really well today, didn't I, Mom?" he asked, his eyes sparkling. "You did great," Amelia smiled, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Then she glanced at Nathan. "Can you stay for a bit? Oliver wants to show you his rock collection." Nathan nodded, a glimmer of hope flickering inside him. "I'd love to." At Amelia's apartment, Oliver eagerly led Nathan to his room, where rows of carefully arranged rocks sat on a table. "This one's metamorphic," Oliver explained, pointing. "And this one's sedimentary. Did you know dinosaurs might have walked on rocks like these millions of years ago?" Nathan smiled, listening intently as Oliver spoke with enthusiasm. In that moment, he wasn't a powerful businessman. He was a father, trying to understand his son. When Oliver left the room to grab more rocks from a box, Nathan turned to Amelia. "Thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for giving me this chance." Amelia crossed her arms, studying him. "I'm doing this for Oliver, not for you. He deserves to have a father, but you need to prove that you're committed." "I understand," Nathan nodded. "I won't let him down, and I won't let you down again." That evening, the three of them shared dinner in a warm and relaxed atmosphere. Oliver chattered endlessly about rocks, dinosaurs, and all the things he wanted to discover when he grew up. Amelia occasionally glanced at Nathan, noticing how he was truly listening, asking questions. So different from the man she'd known 3 years ago. As he prepared to leave, Nathan knelt to meet Oliver's eyes. "Can I come back next week? Maybe we can go to the museum or anything else you want to do." Oliver nodded eagerly. "I want to see the new dinosaur exhibit." Nathan looked at Amelia. "Can we go together?" Amelia hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "We can go together." As Nathan left the apartment, he felt a sense of relief he hadn't known before. This wasn't just a new beginning with Oliver. It was a chance to rebuild what he'd lost with Amelia, to create a family where there had once been broken pieces. A few weeks later, Nathan sat by the window of his penthouse, gazing out at the city as the lights of New York began to illuminate the night sky. In his hand, he held an old photograph, one of him and Amelia during their college days, both smiling brightly, full of dreams. He couldn't help but reflect on the journey he had taken, the mistakes, the sacrifices, and the rare chance to start over. Power and ambition had once been everything to him, but now he understood that nothing compared to the love of a family. Amelia and Oliver had given him an opportunity he didn't deserve, and he knew he would have to work tirelessly to prove his commitment. When the phone buzzed, Nathan glanced down to see a message from Amelia. "Oliver wants you to read about dinosaurs with him tonight. Can you come?" He smiled and replied immediately, "I'll be there in 30 minutes." As he drove to Amelia's apartment, Nathan wondered if he could get it right this time. But as he thought of Oliver, the boy who was undoubtedly waiting eagerly with a dinosaur book in hand, Nathan felt a sense of certainty he hadn't known before. Choosing power over love had cost him dearly, but now he had the chance to choose again. This time, he would choose love.